Lexus, what do you have here?
Well, like you can see, this is a magnificent, comfortable Citroen C5 Aircross.
It
And
looks beautiful.
I gotta be honest with you, the vibrancy of this car is not just in the volcano red color that you can see, but also in the performance as well.
Now, I've got a pearlescent white Peugeot 5008. Now, this car is a 2020 model designed for the professional.
Wow. That's you, isn't it?
That's the rumor.
Welcome to AutoZone. Well, today we get to explore the features of these two cars. Kojo's rocking it white, I'm going red. And you'd get to find out all about this car to make a decision whether you'd want to be driving this on the streets of Accra or not.
So the question is, are you a professional? Are you a middle to top management executive? Are you thinking of that next vehicle that is going to illustrate your status in life, but also fulfill your every need? Lexus and I are about to find out if these two cars are the answers to your questions.
Come along, let's ride. The Citroen C5 Aircross is really all about comfort. You get to realize that comfort means a lot to the Citroen brand. So aside these very comfortable seats with very good leg room for the driver and adjustable seats, of course you can adjust the seats up, down, forward and back so that you're very comfortable in this cabin. Let's talk about this display, an 8-inch touchscreen display, which gives you the very, the comfort to do almost everything. You can, of course, it comes with your Apple CarPlay, which can be connected, and you can do a lot of things with your phone. It actually mirrors your phone and all the apps that are compatible with the car. You can access them here. You can send messages. You can actually, it has a voice recognition on the steering wheel, which can make you voice out a message for this car to send it on your phone. Just make sure your wife is not in the car, of course, yeah. But it actually mirrors all the car compatible apps on your phone, and you can have access to them. You can make calls from the CarPlay. You can send messages, like I said, you can read out your messages as well. And you can also adjust a lot of the functions for the car, the driving function, like the parking sensors, the traction control, the under-inflation initialization. You can actually access all the driving functions and the vehicle settings on this 8-inch touchscreen. So we can talk about your parking, your headlights, a little bit of comfort. Let's look at safety as well in here. The driver's attention warning signals here, the blind spot sensors, you can activate them from this button as well. When we talk about comfort, you can talk about the mood lightening as well. You can unlock the boot only as well. The hands-free tailgate option is on, where you don't need to, open the boot with your hand. You can just, use your leg to open it. The sensors are on. You can keep them on and access that. So it's really, really a very detailed function in here in the 8-inch touchscreen. So the steering wheel is also fitted with the basic controls that you would need regularly, so you don't need to be reaching out to the touchscreen in here. So you can receive your calls and end your calls here. You can adjust the volume settings. It's got a voice detector as well, and you can select whether you want to play from your phone or the radio, the source code here. And it's also fitted with your manual pedals. So you have a Tektronix gear shift here, which can switch from, of course, the eco mode to your manual, and then you activate using your pedals on the steering wheel. So it's really a very sporty vehicle. Of course, there's the sport mode as well, the sport function, which can be engaged with this button in here. And once you put it in the sport mode, you're actually about to fly. Yeah. The C5 Aircross is also fitted with some real good spaces for you. Of course, there's a big space in here right below the cabin where you can put a couple mobile phones can slip in here. You can put some also here. You can put some little, stuff here. You have 2 cup holders, and it's got a cooler in here. So you can activate the cooler and keep some drinks in there for the very long drive. If you go put some water or some juice in here, I mean, it's going to keep it very, very chilled for you. So there's a cooler. It comes with a cooler in here. It's not just an armrest. It comes with a cooler as well. Very spacious glove compartment to fit in those books. And it's got a pretty nicely designed dashboard. And this particular model is fitted with some leather, well woven, to give it a little bit of jazz. So the C5 Aircross is fitted with a reverse camera, like you can see. Captures it very clearly, so you're able to see what's behind you. And it also gives you a bit of a 360 around your car, so that you know when there are obstacles on the side, in the front, or the back. But what I love about the C5 Aircross is how comfortable it feels to maneuver. I mean, your maneuvers are really, really very smooth. Even at a slow speed, you can feel that it is just gliding on the road. Yeah, it is just gliding on the road without too much pressure on your suspensions, too much pressure on your shocks or your shafts. It's very, very smooth on the road. The C5 Aircross SUV offers a 1.6 PureTech engine, pulling about 165 horsepower, and a 6-speed automatic transmission as well. Very impressive. The Citroen C5 Aircross is fitted with a 12.3-inch digital display system that is quite bright enough, so you can actually configure it to whatever you'd want to see on there, whether your fuel gauge or your speedometer. You can actually configure it nicely, and it's fitted in this horizontal dashboard that is really flowing with a mix of fabrics, a bit of leather in there as well. So it's got this black shiny trim here, which has got a few function buttons on there. Now, unfortunately, they're very, they're touch sensitive, so you might not know you've actually touched it, but you just switch between your functions unknowingly. One of the high points, like I keep mentioning, about the Citroen C5 Aircross is how spacious and how comfortable it is. I'm not an average sized man. For a 6-foot man, I'm quite wide as well. I feel very comfortable in these seats. There's some good headroom as well. There's some good headroom for a tall person. So you're very assured of comfort when it comes to the C5 Aircross.
I've got to tell you, this is an experience I won't forget. Now, most car buyers are moving away from the MPV, the multi-purpose vehicle, to the SUV. The SUV just offers something that looks a bit more robust and strong and powerful, while fulfilling all of those family and household needs that you require a big vehicle to fulfill for you. The Peugeot 5008 seems to have hit the sweet spot between muscular SUV and multi-purpose vehicle. Let me welcome you to the I-cockpit. That's what they call the living area of this vehicle. And you can see why. They've given a sporting steering wheel to this medium-sized SUV, and it feels so good to handle. Also, it's got practical purposes, because you see the flat top means that your view of your instrument console is not blocked, and that is valuable. In today's modern motoring experience, you can have steering wheels that get in the way of your line of sight and make it difficult for you to see what's going on with your car. The lion is roaring proudly at the center of this beautifully designed steering wheel. It's multi-purpose. It's got all the things you need, including the volume for your songs and all your other media. And it's very easy, intuitive, easy to control. And of course, the expert thing that Peugeot has done, to their credit, is that they've given you a keyboard that gives you shortcuts to everything that this amazing new multi-purpose entertainment console can do. Now we'll get to that in a minute, but let's finish with this steering wheel. Okay, so it's got the sporting looks. It's also got the flappy paddles. So if you decide that you want to go manual, you want to actually let the car feel you driving it instead of you being driven by the car, you've got your flappy paddle gear shifts here so that you can move through your shifts very quickly, through your range very quickly, and get the performance out of your car that you require. It's got everything quite simply laid out right in front of you. Now, I've got to say, this is not a positive. The cruise control the stick is hidden in the back, out of sight when you're driving normally. So you would literally have to peer over your steering wheel in order to see the controls and set them up if you wanted to drive in cruise control mode. This is not a positive, I've got to say. The 5008 team would have to have a second look at that. But beyond that, everything seems to be quite intuitively placed. You can reach everything when you need it. Now look at this gear shift. They call it the tip shifter. Look at that beauty. Now I know that Lexus is driving the C5, which has a similar stick shifter. It's something that the two brands have in common, but it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. I mean, look at that. I would expect to see something of this design in a Range Rover or a Mercedes, but it's right here in a Peugeot, which kind of goes to the other thing that I've noticed Peugeot is trying to achieve with this car. They're trying to remind us of the prestige that the roaring lion used to have. Okay, so it's very easy to control. There's a button on the side, which is exactly where your thumb would be, and every time you push it, you can then move through the controls from neutral to reverse, or of course, as soon as you go into reverse, your reverse camera comes up, and you know exactly which way you're going. So now I could very comfortably drive in reverse all the way to the iconic arch, which is a good half a kilometer behind us. Okay, and of course, when you want to go into park, the button is right here at the top. You press that and push forward, and your car is now safely in park. You can shift to manual with that button over there, and then your flappy paddles would come into play. All right, now it's got a start-stop engine, standard for a car of this caliber. You've got your very easy to control parking brake, and there is a sports gear. This is important. We will try out this sports gear later and see exactly how it moves you along, okay? So everything in its place, easy to control. You've got shortcuts over here, and the shortcuts are very helpful, okay? So you can go to your music and it'll tell you exactly what you're playing, or you could go to your climate control. Very intuitive. You can choose which directions you want your air to blow in. You can go from low to high on either side because it's a dual zone climate control. Okay, and of course your fan control is right there. You can make it as powerful or as quiet as you wish it to be. All right, now you've got your phone controls, and this is a very clever car. It's already picked up my most recent calls, so I can call back anybody I need to as quickly as I want to. So if, for example, I want to pay homage to Hail Caesar, I can do that right there very easily without thinking twice about it. All right, and of course, it's got all the other functions right here at your fingertips on a very easy keyboard. So, for example, it gives you all your safety features right there. You can check on your parking sensors and your traction control. And if you want to put a speed that you have memorized in your settings, you can do exactly that. This is a very intuitive console, but that's not the only trick that this car has up its sleeve. Now, this car allows you to choose how you want your console to behave. All right. So, for example, If I want to customize my console, it's all digital, by the way, no manual controls, everything is digital. So it gives me options. For example, if I want to have my speedometer right there in that format with my rev meter on the side, it can do that easily for me with a digital speedometer at the center. Okay, so every time I step on it now, it will react digitally, beautifully, and give you an idea of what this car is capable of doing. Now you can change those settings. You can go from minimum to personal. Okay, now the personal settings will allow you to choose how you want your car to give you information. Okay, so I can go to settings here and then go to configuration and select customization. And then I can choose what I want each side of my monitor to show me. I've got it set up so that the right-hand side is telling me what my media is doing. Okay, so I know what song is playing. Bad Boys by Rema. I can move through the menus and pick any other song that I want to play. And of course, it has on the left-hand side my rev meter. So it tells me how many revs I'm doing as I drive along. Now I can configure this. I can customize it to my pleasure. I can also find out the temperature and any other things that I want the car to tell me. I want it to still be a rev counter. I quite like that. And of course I can choose what I want the right hand side to tell me. It can be a trip computer, it can be my media center or temperatures, whatever it is that I desire. Okay, so easily customizable. But you know, the original setting itself is quite beautiful. I can show you. Look, it's got the dials and it looks wonderful. Look at that. Look at that. It really does have sports car stylings in a family vehicle. So the one thing that the Peugeot is hoping to achieve is it wants to convince you that luxury is now associated with its logo again. In the past, Peugeots were one of the most coveted vehicles. In your area, it was the rich man who had what we called a Peugeot 504. Remember that in the 80s? It was the rich men who had Peugeots. Today, they are more accessible, more attainable, but they want you to remember that even as accessible as they are still giving you the luxury that many other cars are still struggling to attain. It's a very intuitive gearbox, I've got to say. That's one of the first things I noticed. It does really pick the most sensible gear for whichever terrain you're on, and it understands what you're about to do next, and it really gives you the best selection as you go along. And as you can see, it's really a responsive steering wheel. It's got a very tight turning circle. Just have a look as I'm going round on the spot. The turning circle is quite tight, which means that you have a very agile suspension. The Peugeot 5008 is seeking to send a certain message. It wants you to remember the Peugeot of old. It wants you to recall that this car used to be all about luxury and nothing else. Now, I noticed something. Do you see what I see? A sport button. I wonder what it does. Let's find out. Most vehicles fit in the sport button just to tighten your suspension a little bit. Let's see if this actually gives your car the extra growl that you expect it to have. Now, as soon as you press it, it says S in a big red letter on my screen. Let's see if that big red S holds the promise of speed and power that I'm hoping it'll hold. Should we find out? Wow, quite a kick. And it moves through the speed very quickly. Already we are doing 69, 70 kilometers per hour, and the braking distance is decent. I didn't have to, start braking too early, and yet we're able to stop comfortably before the end of the run. This is a competent car. That's how I describe it. It handles speed competently. It's not a Ferrari, let's be clear. But it can move.
So the Citroen C5 Aircross is a bold SUV, not just in looks, but also in feel. It's rocking an 18-inch swirl alloy rims, okay, and it's got a progressive hydraulic cushions, which makes sure that you have a bumpless ride. I mean, our roads are a little, funny, but with this car, you're going to enjoy a bumpless magic carpet ride. You will be amazed. So the front of the Citroen C5 Aircross is really stylish. It's rocking that stylish approach, with the very sleek Citroen iconic chevrons in the front, in the grille. You can see that here. And it has these vents as well. Now, note this. These two vents do a lot of work for combustion. This one is closed, but the other is open to help with combustion, the turbo combustion. So you know very well that it's very safe and it's very powerful. The headlights on the Citroen C5 Aircross are imposing, but even better are the fog lights, because when you turn, it turns with you, giving you more illumination in the direction that you're turning. So if you signal for a left turn, these fog lights are able to give you illumination to the left. So that's very creative and ingenious on the part of Citroen for this car. So the rear of the Citroen C5 Aircross is a beauty to behold. It's fitted with these 3D tail lights that are quite beautiful and unique as well. Now you're going to get the hands-free tailgates in premium brands, but Citroen offers you that. Yep, so once you go shopping and your hands are full with bags, all you need to do is to just activate the boot and there you go. It opens. You don't need your keys for that. You can also close it same way by just stretching out your leg on here and we're good to go. So it is fitted with sensors and the blind spot assist all over the car. You've got some at the back here and on this side as well. But let's talk about the space of the boot for this car. Amazingly, you are offered 630 liters of space in the boot of this car, and it's actually the car with the largest space in the boot for its class. For its segment, it's the car with the biggest. Now, when the seats are folded down, you're getting 1,630 liters of space. You can put me times 10 in the boot of this car, literally.